Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth, the Education Coordinator for Marlene's Market and Deli. Tonight's special guest that we have with us is Dr. Linda Huxtable, naturopathic doctor, and Shanna Rivera, certified clinical thermography technician. And we are always so pleased to have them with us. And they have a lot of great information to share with us tonight on breast cancer prevention.
Thank
We
you.
do. Thank you, Elizabeth. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about breast cancer prevention. Welcome everybody to our presentation. Thank you so much for being here. Medical thermography is most well known for breast thermography, but tonight we're going to talk about breast cancer prevention as well as thermography and how that can be related to the entire body. So everybody, this is me. I'm a certified thermographic technician. I'm also an independent Beamer distributor. I founded Flowwell in 2016, and I actually became a certified thermographic technician back in 2011. I've been a trainer through PACT before for other technicians. They're the Professional Academy of Clinical Thermology. And I'm currently a member of PACT and also a member of BTI, Breast Thermography International. Dr. Huxtable, would you like to take it away and talk about yourself a little bit?
Sure. Thank you, Shanna. So, I just have so much gratefulness for what you all do, for what you're doing. I could not work without you. I've done thermography on my patients for many, many, many years, and it has come so far. And I never imagined that we would have the tools that we have now. And I never imagined that we would know what we know about cancer. So, and as we tell people all the time, I'm so happy to spend time with people, educating people about how not to get sick. I don't ever want to get another cancer patient. And unfortunately, it happens every day. And it's just worth doing whatever it takes, no matter how young you are, no matter how old you are, to prevent getting a degenerative disease. So having said that, I founded Medicine People a long time ago. I've lived this way for my entire life. I've never had to tell people all the time, I don't know if it makes any difference, but I've never had fast food. I've never had a Coke. I've never used a microwave. I've been living my life this way for as long as I have been on the planet. I went to a one-room schoolhouse, which is kind of unusual. It's unusual that anybody would know what that is. And then I was in the first class of women that admitted women to Yale. And then I went to Clayton School of Natural Healing, and I've studied with a ton of medical doctors and naturopaths and different people all over the world. And I've had a lot of practice at what I do. And I like to tell people that I have made all of the mistakes. I've made every single mistake that a human being could make. And I am here because I've learned from them. You're not, I can't hear you, Shanna. Can you hear her?
Sorry, I
That's
had
okay.
myself on mute. I was nervous my dog was going to start barking. I absolutely appreciate your knowledge tonight in this webinar and every day that we get to work together. I love learning from you and your experience, and thank you so much for being on tonight, Dr. Huxtable. So for the thermography locations, myself and our other Flowwell technician, Janelle Solomon, we service these states, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and Washington. And we do open up new locations upon request, if it meets our our traveling abilities. And then Dr. Huxtable, she's seeing patients worldwide through telemedicine. And she's been practicing telemedicine since before I've known her. We met in 2016. So she's definitely got that down to handle patients all over the country and all over the world. So tonight, Dr. Huxtable and I have a question for you. We want to know, what is cancer and how do you prevent it? So to keep everyone, engaged here, let's have you put it in the chat box. We want to know your answers in the chat box if you know what cancer is and some of the things that you do on how to prevent it. And we'll come back to that here. Let's see. So we're going to have Dr. Huxtable talk about this slide and all the things that cancer is.
Okay, so what is cancer? Well, cancer is a metabolic disease, which most people have quite a few carbs and sugar, quite a bit of carbs and sugar in their diet. And Otto Warburg in the 50s first saw cancer and first documented it. And now we're going back as we understand how the model of the of genetics is not really working to be able to help people, to help us clinically at all. And I can talk about that more later. They're going back to Warburg's theory that cancer is a metabolic disease. Well, cancer is also a disease of toxicity. We have a very toxic planet. It can have a parasitic, viral, bacterial, or a fungal origin. Sometimes it's all of the above. It usually, and we're going to talk about this a lot, comes from undiagnosed dental infections. The mouth is so important, and thermography really, really, really gives us a very clear picture and will get people engaged in the fact that they have a dental infection that's undiagnosed, that they didn't know about, an imbalance in the microbiome in the mouth, which seed the rest of the body, which seeds the microbiome in the rest of the body. It can come from breast implants. That's the disease of toxicity. And unfortunately, so many of the patients we have breast implants. We have to start from the beginning and educate them about breast implant illness, disease in the correct way to get them removed. They are very toxic, and we'll talk about that. It can start from hormonal imbalances. How many people do we know that are on birth control pills? I mean, that's simple. That's simple. How many people have I explained that they have a medicated diaphragm? It causes these imbalances that aren't natural and normal. And if your hormones aren't metabolizing into the cancer protective pathways, which they're not with these synthetic hormones that people are taking, or pellets that they're just terrible, then we have these hormonal imbalances that can start you with a degenerative disease. What they're not is they're not normally from inherited genes. Genetics are responsible for 2% only.
2% is so low, Dr. Huxtable. I get a call just about every week from a patient who's very concerned about a family member having a BRCA gene, or a family member getting cancer. Do you get a lot of questions about that as well?
Yes, we're gonna talk about that as we go forward. I do too, and that's why I went and got my certification in genetic translation, and I started studying about hormones way back before the Human Genome Project was done from Jeffrey Bland, and I learned a very different and very empowering thing about hormones, and I'll share that with you. And the most wonderful thing in the world is that we're going to be able to show you how cancer is preventable. Okay, next slide. So this is a little picture of the lymphatic system, which Shanna is really becoming such an enormous help for my patients in giving them ways to detox the lymphatic system. And we're understanding more and more and more about the lymphatic system. Our last webinar was about the lymphatic system. And so I hope you all tuned into that. What we do through science-based testing is we monitor the effects of glucose and carb consumption by looking at your insulin resistance, by looking at your glucose, by looking at your HbA1c. And what does cancer love? What does it grow on? It grows on glucose, and carbs go right to glucose. So we do use the ketogenic diet a lot. And we also really monitor, because everybody out there has dialed up on the internet somehow and tried the ketogenic diet and then come to the conclusion that it was a huge fail. Well, there's a reason for that. You can find anything on the internet, and mostly what you find on the internet is not going to work. It's just not going to work. And so you need somebody who has tons of experience with ketosis. Did you know you were born in ketosis? And mother's milk is designed to keep you in ketosis. Everybody's been in ketosis. It's the preferred way for our body to produce the ATP in the Krebs cycle. It's from fat. It's not from sugar. It's not from carbs. It makes it very much more difficult. We do a lot with detox, as Shanna's, Shanna's been developing with my help, her detox program for a long time now, and it's really good. And I think we can all learn something from it, and we can all be reminded about how important it is to detox. We can look at your cell's ability to detox and your liver's ability to detox. We can look at it through science-based testing. We do a lot of that. I don't want to waste anybody's money on tests that aren't going to give you results, or where you're going to be the guinea pig to set the ranges. And there's a lot of tests that I used in the past, talk about making mistakes, and cost my patients a lot of money, including a lot of the tests that look at the genetics or the microbiome of colons, and the food sensitivity testing, and so much, which it's all gone by the wayside, almost all of it. And there are a few tests that I use, and more that are being developed that we use regularly. Visit a biological dentist. You know, there's a huge difference between a biological dentist and a regular dentist. And I always say, going to a regular dentist is like asking a mouse to guard your cheese. It's not going to be there when you get back. And when you go to a regular dentist and then complain when you get cancer and go to a biological dentist, and they give you this outrageous cost to redo what the regular dentist did, whose fault is that? It's not about blaming anybody, but it's what's going to happen unless you educate yourself and you make the decision right the first time. And none of us have done that. I mean, I've made mistakes. My parents made a mistake when they brought me to a dentist in a neighboring town and had my mouth full of mercury. I nearly died from mercury toxicity, and that was way before anybody knew what it was. Remember, I went to a one-room schoolhouse, and the books in the library really didn't cover it, and we didn't have internet, or there was no community. Explant surgery, you know what that means? That means the en bloc surgery to get your breast implants out. And the en bloc surgery also gets the capsule out that your body forms to protect your body from the garbage that leaks out from having a foreign body inside of you. One of my patients, who's been my patient for decades, I finally got her. She's a little tiny Filipinian woman, and she finally got her breast implants out. And she said, you know, I carried those things around with me. She said, you're not going to believe it, but all the inflammation in my face and upper body, it's gone. It's gone. And I carried those things around with me. And I was just shocked that I've had them in me, and that weight in me, pulling on me for so many years. and how different I feel now that they're out. That's the kind of unsolicited testimonial I get from people who have en bloc surgery. And you know, you were lied to about the image and about having big breasts and about the fact that these implants were safe and so many things, but they really, really are a foci of infection and of all kinds of things getting into the body. And if you want to prevent a degenerative disease or you want to cure yourself from one, please get them out. Epigenetic versus genetic. You know, you have the same amount of genes as almost as a fruit fly. Yeah, that's true. I do too. And we have the same number of genes as one of the species of monkeys. It is not our genes. You are not a victim of what you have had inherited as far as disease. You are your eye color and your hair color and your skin tone maybe, but it's not genes that are running the Titanic. We outsource the running of our bodies to this bacterial DNA that lives in us called the mitochondria and to our microbiome, and they communicate with healthy cells. So you're way more powerful than you think. So, Shanna, you want to do this one?
Yes, I do. Thank you for that. So detoxing your body. This is what I encourage patients to do, is to start with thermography. And then you're going to discuss your results with a doctor. If you don't have a doctor, you want to get a referral for one, because you have to get a doctor referral these days to get your report back. And ideally, you want to find a doctor who has years of experience with thermography. I do talk to doctors on a regular basis, educating them about thermography, and I'm happy to do that. But it is great to find someone who's been looking at these reports for a long time. So some of the things that we encourage patients to do to detox their body if we see signs of toxicity in their body are the following. To let you know, most adults have some signs of toxicity. In the full body detox program that Dr. Huxtable helped me to develop, I talk about 5 different areas of health. It's diet, exercise, detoxing, de-stressing, and sleep quality. And if anybody on here knows of a single adult who would get 5-star ratings in all 5 of those categories, you know, please say yes in the chat box. And I'm going to be very surprised if anyone says yes, because we're all running around like crazy, living our lives, and it's challenging to get 5 stars in all of those areas. So what do we all need to be doing on a daily basis, whether we have a cancer diagnosis or ideally for preventing it, is sweating. And yes, I said daily sweating. You can do sweating, you can sweat really well and on purpose through different methods like infrared sauna. You want to get it as hot as you can tolerate it. And in the beginning, just stay in for 20 minutes. I remember years ago when I first tried an infrared sauna, I felt like I was being microwaved and I hated it. And I don't think I went into another one for 5 years because I was just like, that was terrible. Why did I feel so bad? I'm not going to do that. But it was because I had so many toxins in me that it was really challenging for me to stay in that hot environment for the full 20 minutes. I'm pretty sure I busted out of the door at 19 minutes. I couldn't last 1 more minute. And then years later, I started seeing infrared saunas popping up in all the clinics I was working in. And I was like, all right, I need to give this another try. And it was probably Dr. Huxtable telling me I needed to get into an infrared sauna as well. And so started paying for sessions at local clinics. And I eventually realized I just should invest in one and buy one for my home, which I did. I also encourage patients to take Epsom salt baths. But you have to consider, you know, does your home have a really good filter on the water? If it does, great. And then you want to put in a good 2 cups of Epsom salt bath in a regular bathtub, more if you have a larger bathtub. And then I love to add in some essential oils for aromatherapy while I'm in there. And the third method, which I've really enjoyed over the years is doing a hot yoga class or working out in a heated environment. These days I'm a member of HotWorks, and you get to work out in an infrared sauna. So I'm getting the best of both worlds with my workouts. There's also a medical device that I've been using daily since 2016. It's called Beamer. Beamer stands for Bioelectric Magnetic Energy Regulation, and it makes the blood in your body flow faster. And our blood cells have a job to do. They grab onto the oxygen and the nutrients from our food and our supplements, and your red blood cells deliver those things in your body to where your body needs them. And at the same time, increased blood flow can also push out stagnant waste or toxic buildup in the body. So when I talk to patients about Beamer, it's usually because I see their freezing cold fingers or their really cold nose, and that sparks me to think of it. So Beamer helps areas that are hypothermic or unusually cold in your body. And it also helps areas that are hyperthermic or unusually hot because you're working out the toxins. Beamer cannot get rid of dental infection though, unfortunately. So it can help in the recovery process once you get some dental work done, or it can help to prep the body for when you're ready for the dental work. But you're not going to be able to go through McDonald's drive-through and never work out and expect Beamer to work miracles on you. It complements a healthy lifestyle in that if you're doing some of these other methods like sweating or living a clean lifestyle with personal care products that are not toxic or eating a healthy diet, all those things have benefits for you. And when you add Beamer to the mix, it's like giving them a supercharge. There's also ASEA. ASEA is a redox signaling supplement. It helps your cells in your body to communicate faster. So when we're children, we have the most redox signaling molecules in our body that we'll ever have in our lifetime. And then every decade we live, our redox signaling molecules deplete in our body by 10%. So you want to have something to replenish them and get the cells communicating well, and ASEA can help you to do that. There's also dry brushing for your body. There's jumping on mini rebounders, drinking excellent quality water. There's so much you can do for detoxing your body. You want to figure out a list of options, what works best for you, what you're going to be able to start with, and talk to your doctor about a priority list, because there's so much out there, right? And we all want to try a lot, but it's like, where do you start first? And that's definitely a good question for your doctor. Not sure what we missed on that slide, but Dr. Huxtable is going to talk about this patient. This is one of our thermography patients, and I'll let you take it away.
Okay, so this was a patient. This was a recent patient, and this is the kind of picture. On the left of the screen you see the rainbow scale, and on the right of the screen you see a gray scale. And the reason we picked this, I think, was because this is such an incredible example of what not to do to a human body. So she had the breast removed, and she had an implant placed on the left side of her body. And you can see the infection from the mouth and the neck, the pooling in the clavicular area, going down into that breast. And the breast implant blocks us from seeing what is really going on. So not only is she, I think we're going to see the next picture. I sent her right to the hospital because she had something called a ascites. Yes, in the belly here. You could see in her belly. And I thought, and I still think, that the cancer is spreading. But this is just such a sad picture. And I really believe that the thermography saved her life, because when she got to the hospital, her blood work was not good at all. And I wouldn't have known, because she's from New York, if I hadn't seen the thermography. I wouldn't have known. I mean, there's no way that she could have told me how bad of a shape the doctors left her in. And I wouldn't have seen the swelling in the belly that was really really, it was really timely that I got this and that she got to the hospital. Go to the next one, Shanna. I think we can see the belly better. No, not that one, not that one. Nope. Okay. So, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I will. I think that those are the only images we had for her in this one. What makes thermography so popular? 1 in 8 women get breast cancer, and so it's definitely something every woman should be screening for. There's 280,000 new cases of invasive breast cancer diagnosed every single year. Over 40,000 deaths occur annually from breast cancer for both men and women. 80% of breast cancer patients do not have any family history, so that means everybody needs to have a safe screening tool. In 2030, it's estimated there will be 440,000 new cases of breast cancer every single year. And also 1 in 833 men are diagnosed with breast cancer. There are some different screening methods out there that I hear patients ask Dr. Huxtable about these screening methods all the time. So I think, Dr. Huxtable, I would love for you to explain a little bit about these tests and what you use.
So what we don't use is the mammogram because it really gives you a high dose of X-ray, and not the mammogram, the ultrasound, none of it diagnoses cancer. Even thermography, none of it diagnoses cancer. They've got to do biopsies after each of these tests, and unfortunately we have a lot of false positives from the biopsies, and they can miss it. We do a test called RGCC, which is the best test in the world. We have 100% success rate in a positive diagnosis, and we can find a cancer very, very, very early. Often I'll use thermography to look at the angiogenesis, look at the blood supply, because you can't develop a tumor before you have bigger than a BB, before you have a blood supply to it. And the mammogram, the ultrasound, none of it, MRI, none of it will detect it. And on top of that, if you do get an MRI, please do not get gadolinium. Write that down someplace on your pads. No gadolinium. You have to say that. Gadolinium is a very, very, very toxic contrast that pulls the heavy metals into your body. And there's a disease, gadolinium deposition disease. And the doctors that are seeing it say, if we had known, we would have never recommended gadolinium contrast. We will never recommend it again. Well, it's too late for all the people that are getting gadolinium. So make sure you know that. Ultrasound does not have side effects, but again, it can only see what it can see. And I see a lot of breast ultrasounds, and really the best test is thermography. Sometimes we recommend ultrasound, but thermography and the RGCC to determine whether you have early malignancy or not.
And these next couple slides just kind of identify the differences between mammography and also thermography, but I think you just recapped that pretty well, Dr. Huxtable. And so thermography is also used not only for breast cancer detection, but thyroid screening, cerebrovascular screening. That's where we check the blood flow through veins that rest on the forehead. Your carotid arteries feed a blood supply into your brain through veins right here. They're called branches of your supraorbital artery. And if one side of the forehead is significantly colder than the other, it could indicate blockage in the corresponding carotid artery. And I'm sure, you know, anyone would want to potentially avoid a stroke by knowing something early. We also look for mottling patterns. Mottling patterns can be indicative of toxic buildup in the body or hormonal imbalance. And so if you see mottling patterns in your thermography, then you talk to your doctor and discuss symptoms. So if you're having certain symptoms, they might say, okay, let's go for further testing for hormones. Dr. Huxtable recommends the RAINS hormone test to patients. It's a 24-hour urine collection because if you get blood work, it's, just like taking a snapshot of you during the day and saying, this is who you are. Well, it's not enough time. You need 24 hours of urine collection to really see the full picture of what your hormones are doing. And you don't send in all that urine, you just send in a little sample. But then we also do spine analysis. So chiropractors or those who do body work love our reporting, because you can see so much in these images, how patients are standing, their posture. Quite often, if they have inflammation in the ankles or the shins, you can see they're dumping their weight into their arches. There's a lot that you can see. Vein thrombosis, nerve pathology, the list goes on. So thermography screenings, they detect physiology instead of anatomy. They can detect cells that are not yet dense enough to show on an X-ray, mammogram, ultrasound, or MRI. Like Dr. Huxtable said, they have to be the size of a BB in order to show up on those anatomical tests. There's no compression, no radiation, and it's safe at any age. My youngest patient that I did a scan on, he was 2 months. And my oldest patient, she's 96. So at any age, you can benefit from knowing what's happening on your body thermographically. So next up, we have some case studies for you. And this slide is really important. Seeing these scans every single day, I can't even tell you how many scans I see where women are clearly wearing their bras too tight. So any one of you who have had a scan with us know that the protocols say don't wear a bra for a few hours before the scan. And one of my patients in Miami actually prompted that protocol, because she came in, took her bra off, did the acclimation period. You have to be naked in a room for 15 minutes before I can image you. And it still looked like she just barely took her bra off. The bra marks were that tight around her body, up by the shoulders, and it looked like a clear outline of her bra. And so our interpreting doctors, they called me up and said, Shanna, did you have her acclimate? And I said, yes, absolutely. She acclimated for the full time. And so since then, we've seen time and time again, patients, you can see it best down here in the inverse grayscale, this dark line going from underneath the breast towards the back on both sides. And so this patient, she followed our, protocol of not wearing a bra for a few hours before your scan, and she's still presenting with these marks. So that tells us it's chronic, that she's every single day wearing a bra that's too tight. It creates lymphatic congestion in the body, which results in toxic buildup right in the breast tissue, which is what we want to avoid. So for her, I would have recommended not wearing a bra whenever she can, loosening up the bras if that's possible, or buying a clasp, a bra extender to make the bras float on you, and then going forward, buying the next size up. And we see it all the time for men as well in the waist, because men don't have hips to hold their pants up. So I'll see a nice dark line in the inverse grayscale, or in the color rainbow palette, we'll see a red hot line in the lower abdomen where they're squeezing their, lower belly every single day for 8+ hours that they're wearing that belt. And then you go, and if you ever watch television, you hear, commercial after commercial for men's reproductive health. And I think there's a direct correlation there, that they're wearing these belts way too tight, squeezing their lower abdomen, resulting in lymphatic congestion down there. Another thing is underwires in the bra. When I first started doing this, I had all tight bras with underwire, pushing into me every single day, all day long. And I never thought twice about it. But then I saw my thermography, and I had hot spots on both sides of my breast, right where the underwire was digging in all day. And I realized I needed to make a switch. And I even had a patient buy me this book called Dress to Kill. And it talks about, in societies where women wear bras, breast cancer is very prevalent. And then in societies where they don't wear bras, there's just about 0 breast cancer. And so that really hit home to me. And I share that book with a lot of women. But it's an easy switch. And if you do love your underwire bras, you can make little slits in them and pull the underwire out and still wear it. It doesn't fit exactly the same, but something you could do tonight. So you stop pressing those, the underwire against your body. Let's see. This next case is inflammatory breast cancer. Dr. Huxtable, have you ever had a patient with inflammatory breast cancer?
Yes, I have, and that's what the thermography looks like. That's a good
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, so unfortunately for this patient, it was an extremely fast progression to this slide here. I believe this was, February, midsummer, and September. So it's rare when we get patients who need a 3-month follow-up, but it does happen. And so, you want to act fast. You want to listen to your doctor, and see what that can get you. So this is a before and after scan improved. This is what we love seeing. This patient came in and she had an unusual hot spot above this left breast. Did some detoxing, listened to her doctor, and you could see how much that hot spot decreased at our follow-up scan. And in our reporting, we use something called the delta T average, where we take the difference in temperature from the right to the left side of the body. And you can see that the numbers really decrease there, which is what we love to see. So Dr. Huxtable, I would love for you to talk a little bit about the head-neck connection to the breast for this breast cancer prevention presentation. This patient ended up improving her lymphatic congestion, which is wonderful, what we love to see. But would you please talk a little bit about that?
Yes, if you look at the inflammation around the mouth, she must have done something with the mouth to reduce dental infection, because she had a lot of it. And you can see with this chin up position, it was draining down into the glands that are under the mandible there. If you put your fingers on under the mandible, you can feel those glands. And you can see the infection draining right down into those glands. It also will knock the thyroid out in 100% of the cases if there's undiagnosed infection in the mouth. Most thyroid, every day I hear people saying, well, my mother was hypothyroid and my aunt is hypothyroid. It's not genetic. It's because we all eat the same junk and we all have a lot of mercury, well, unless we're aware of it, and a lot of undiagnosed dental infection. And it's the same for our mothers and our aunts and our sisters. So you could still see on the left side here, can you see my pointer? Probably not, right? Yeah.
No, this image over here.
Yeah, her left side. You can see that little white line is the carotid artery that Shanna mentioned before. And we don't see a picture of her head, but it's unusual that you would see that that pink hot line. That carotid artery is very inflamed, and depending on the age of this person and some other things, what the forehead looked like, I would suggest that she get a carotid ultrasound if I see that happening. But she has done some work, and we see a reduced infection in the mouth, and we see even the chin, which was green, which was warm, is gone to more of a blue, which is what it should be. And we see the thyroid area of the thyroid, which is right between those two globs of red that are supraclavicular and indicate lymphatic pooling. That's a tough spot, by the way. And we do show you how to drain that area. And I think I do it every single day. I drain that area above my clavicles, because I know that lymph has a tendency to pool there. And
what do you do to drain it every day?
Well, I just take my hands in the shower and I drain it. I do like a lymphatic drainage thing which is a massage, and you can actually feel it. You could feel the mucus coming down, and you can actually taste it in your mouth and the back of your throat. It comes down. And I think I have a small video where I showed that technique that I use, that we can send out. If you want it, I can send it to you, and you can send it out.
That'd be great.
So if you ask Shanna for it. But yeah, that's definitely an area that needs a little bit of extra work because you don't want to have lymphatic pooling there. Any place you get lymphatic pooling is a place where you have a tendency to get infection and harbor things that you don't want growing there. So it's a good thing to do. And it takes a minute, maybe. It takes maybe a minute in the shower to do it. It's very easy to do.
Thank you. Here's another patient who improved. I think the last patient, she did some oil pulling and lymphatic work. This patient, I'm not sure what she did.
Yeah, you can really see she had a lot of infection in her mouth, inflammation draining down under her chin, a lot. So that's a great example of what we can do.
This is what we get so excited about, seeing these improvements from one scan to the next. And this is abdominal inflammation. This is a very inflamed abdomen here, but what you need to do is consider what are the underlying organs and talk to your doctor about what could be causing the inflammation, because it could be a few different things in the abdomen. But Dr. Huxtable, what would you say if this were your patient?
I would look at blood work. I would look at toxicity levels. I'd get her on a detox program, but it looks like she has some kind, she probably has an imbalanced dysbiosis. She's probably got an imbalanced microbiome. She's probably got inflammation in the ascending and descending parts of her colon. It looks like that liver could be congested. So I'll look at her AST or ALT, look at a lot of things. And I need to see the whole scan because it looks like she's starting to get a little water weight on that area, and whether she has the SIBO from it, which is going to happen if you have an imbalanced microbiome. You can't just attack SIBO with a FODMAP diet and expect people are going to get better. And that, by the way, is one of the tests that is a really bad test. And I have patients that tell me all the time that they're going to breathe in something and send it off to a lab. Well, it's dissipated by the time it gets there. It's not going to work. It's a waste of money.
Geez.
And you have to work on the whole microbiome, but that woman's, she's in trouble. She really needs some help. And she's probably got quite a bit of pain as well. And it could be, depending on her age, you have to look at everything. It's all the picture. It's all the pieces of the puzzle. It's not just one thing. It's
Right.
a lifetime of making decisions that have resulted in this kind of picture. And so we look at her hormones as well. What's she doing for hormones? Is she around 50? Is she perimenopausal? Is she still eating wheat? Is she, there's just so many things that she could be doing that could be affecting and giving this picture, but that's not a great picture to look at. It's not a happy person.
Okay, thank you. Anything else to add about, let's see, breast cancer prevention, the mouth neck connection to the breast? This is our last case study. It's our last image here. So I just wasn't sure before I kind of wrap up if you wanted to add anything more about that, Dr. Huxtable.
Yeah, do we have any questions?
Yes, there is a question. Does all contrast have gadolinium?
All MRI does. That's a good question. So the CT and the CT scans are different and the PET scans are different. They use a different kind of contrast. And, just on the safe side, if I have to have a test done, I just say no contrast. Just say that. But the gadolinium is definitely the worst, and that is used for MRI. So you will not get contrast with an MRI. You won't get it if you say no gadolinium. Now they have a couple of different choices that they can use for PET scans and CAT scans. And most of the time you could see pretty well. You could see pretty well what you're looking at, which is the reason you got the scan without a contrast. But some doctors will absolutely make you get a contrast. So as far as just recapping, you know, the rain hormone test is so important as well. Doing the thermography was like doing the dark cell microscopy that I did for so many years. I was trained in dark cell microscopy, and to save time, I hired a doctor to sit in the office next to mine and prepare slides of each patient. And we looked at their live blood. And when patients see the blood, that's their blood. And they become very engaged. And they become very, as we explain the problems with the blood, if we're seeing rouleau, if we're seeing fibrinogen, if we're seeing a lot of things in the blood that shouldn't be there, undigested food, heavy metals, whatever, they begin to engage on a level that they haven't previously. And I got so sad looking at the chronic degradation of blood as the years went on. Even children, you know, usually with a child, you see the red cells that are nice and round, and you see the energy as the blood races across the screen. Well, even the children, everybody's blood was looking horrible, and I was getting more and more upset. And so when I retired and went into research, I was using thermography before then, and it's gotten so much better. And it serves the same purpose. It gets people to look at their body and connect with it on a level that they wouldn't do otherwise. And not only can it help save somebody's life, but it helps establish that connection. And when they see the red in the mouth, when they see the infection in the mouth and draining down into the lymph, and when they see the infection by the breast draining down, like that one woman who had the too tight bra that you saw, that had really inflammation in the lymph glands that are adjacent to the breasts. What it does is it becomes real to the patient, to the person that is looking at it, and they're determined to make the changes to see the improvement, which is what we want. So that's why it's such an important tool for so many reasons. Then you could start talking to them about the mouth or about the breast implants and how the implants hide, they block what's happening. So you may see the red lines draining from the mouth down into the chest. And if they have implants, it completely disappears. You can't see what's going on. And so it's a very valuable tool. This is a very valuable tool for people. I really encourage other doctors who don't understand it to learn about it. It's such a simple thing to do, to read it. And so many people don't know about the connection. I think I sent you an article today, Shanna. We sent out to all the patients as well. A really good article. It was, if you go to the original article, it's a huge article. And it talks about mercury, taking mercury out of dental use in every single country. And it talks about the mercury that people are still getting in their mouths. I see young people with mercury still in their mouths. They have no idea. They're still putting it in people's mouth, and it's illegal to place it in the mouth of so many countries. They're stopping it. And in this country, they haven't stopped it. They haven't stopped it. It's bizarre. And so we see that, and we see people who are used to eating a lot of tuna and a lot of big fish who have very high levels of mercury. I had a patient today, and she was a challenge detoxifier with her methyl mercury and her inorganic mercury. She has cancer. I remember sitting in a conference, and the presenter, who was the top MD in the world at the time I was studying with him about for chelation, that's how we used to get it out. And he made a statement, and it woke me up, and I thought I was paying attention, but I stuck my hand up and I said, "Can you please repeat that?" And he said, in a breast cancer tumor, there's 150,000 times the amount of mercury in that breast cancer as in the healthy surrounding cells. That stuck with me in my head. That stuck with me. And people, it's extraordinarily rare for me to get somebody who has been told of the influence of the mouth, and that mercury and that root canals and cavitations and NICOs and all of this have, and they have a cancer diagnosis. I get doctors all the time that have no idea. They have no idea. And they have cancer. And they're spending all this money treating it, and they're not getting their mouth cleaned up. They have no idea. And the thermography really, really brings that point home to people when they can see that inflammation in the mouth, and they can see it draining into the, it starts, it's a conversation starter, and it's a way for them to really buy into and to begin opening their mind to what is truly going on.
I always say that it's extremely motivating to see yourself thermographically and think about what areas do you want to see improve. You know, there's areas that are too hot or areas that are too cold, and there's a lot you can do to make that happen.
There's a lot.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Huxtable. And so for the next slide, it is about the thermography process. And if you wanted to sign up to get a screening, you would need a doctor referral. So you could reach out to us after you sign up and get that link for your doctor. Or if you need a referral, just let us know and we'd be happy to do that for you. You fill out your intake forms. Important patient protocols are within the initial intake forms, so you have to read those over and become familiar with them before your scan. Once you get into the office to get your thermography screening, there's an acclimation period where basically you stand naked in a private room for 15 minutes, and then your thermographer will come back in and do the imaging, and the imaging itself is about 10 to 15 minutes. It goes by really fast. And you just stand and sit in a series of positions. Some people are like expecting to lay down or go in a tube, or, you know, they don't know what to expect, but I've heard it all. But it's just standing and sitting in a series of positions. There's 30 images for the full body scan. Then we send your images to our interpreting doctors. They're all certified through PACT. The results could be in 3 days if you have an urgent pressing matter, or up to 2 weeks. Usually it's about a week turnaround, but right now we call it Breast Health Awareness Month and Breast Cancer Awareness Season. Breast Health Awareness Season, September to November is our busiest time every year as thermographers. So it can be the full 2-week turnaround right now. Then you want to schedule a consult with your doctor, and then myself or your thermographer will do your second review and basically make sure all your questions are answered and talk about recommendations that you got and see how we can help answer any questions or schedule your follow-up screening. Here are different thermography types that we offer and the fees. I got a couple phone calls today from new patients inquiring about the breast scan. And you're more than welcome to sign up for the breast screening. It's about 6 images of your breasts, but I highly, highly encourage anyone who gets a thermography to start off with the full body, because you use your whole body every single day. So you want to know what's happening everywhere in your body, from the bottom of the feet to the top of the head. The full body scan is the way to go, you know, or at least the health screening. The health screening is the torso, the upper body, front and back. For men, it includes the testicular screening, which I think is really important for men. And yeah, we also scan our patients' kids for free for our service. And then, yeah, so I wish more parents would take advantage of that.
Yeah, and absolutely get the head done. Absolutely. The breast does not, if I just get a breast scan, I'm really disappointed, because you really need that head. And the other thing is that all thermography is not created equal. So after years, decades of doing thermography and working with every single thermography company out there, this company, and I have no financial connection with them whatsoever, is heads and tails. Heads and tails. And the whole dragon above. The other scans that I see, they're almost cartoonish. They're so bad. They're like the very early scans that we did, but this is a great company, and it's one of the things that I insist that my patients do, and I insist that they use this company. These thermographers are great. They're well trained. They're just, I can't say enough about this company.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't realize this, but we also donate to a company called the United Breast Cancer Foundation. They've been amazing for our patients. So a portion of every one of our full body scans goes to this company, and anyone can go to ubcf.org and apply to get some reimbursement to your thermography. You go on there, and if you're able to, you donate $5 to their cause, fill out a quick application. Based on your application, they may reimburse you for your thermography for up to $150, which can be a huge help for some people. And then if someone does have a cancer diagnosis and they have a lot of out-of-pocket costs, there's another grant program that they can apply to with them where they can help get some coverage on those unreimbursed cancer expenses. So it's a wonderful organization. I'm really proud that we're able to donate to them. So there are many ways to save on thermography. If you wanted to sign up today, I have an event code that I can share with everybody. I'll put it in the chat box. It does expire tomorrow. So if you wanted to get $50 off for listening to our presentation today, that's our special offer, good for 24 hours. Dr. Huxtable does a lot of consultations for my thermography patients. Her normal rate is $150, but for this presentation, she's offering $125 for an initial consult. And it's invaluable information that you're going to get from that consult. She sends you session notes afterwards. It's extremely thorough. You can take those session notes into consideration and hire her as your ongoing physician, or not, and you can work with other doctors. There's no commitment to the one consult, and I think everybody gets a lot of information from that review. And like I said earlier, you do need to have a doctor to go over your results, so please keep that in mind when you book your appointment with us. And if you don't have a doctor, we have different ones that we can refer you to depending on your needs and where you are, and if you want to see someone physically or not. A lot goes into the conversations there. So you can email our customer service expert, Isabel, if you want the full ways to save on thermography email. Her email's right at the bottom here, info@flowwell.org. We also have a very generous referral program. So if you send anyone our way, you get $50 off your scan as a thank you referral, and there's no limit. So a lot of patients have gotten us in front of a group that they're a part of, and they get the whole room signs up and they get all those $50 credits towards their next scan or their scan after. They don't expire for a new patient referral. And this month we have another special going on. In addition to this discount, it's the referral program is not only good for people who refer others, but the new person this month only also gets $50 off. And then I'm going to let Dr. Huxtable talk a little bit about our final slide here and wrapping up.
Yeah, so this is something my mother used to say, as I told Shanna, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I really hope that you'll all take this to heart and you'll make a commitment to your health and to staying healthy and to preventing degenerative disease. That's what we wish for all of you. And thank you for attending tonight. We really appreciate it.
Very much so. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank
You. Wonderful program.
Thank you
so much for your service, ladies. Thank you, Dr. Huxtable.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Shanna and Dr. Huxtable.